When it comes to the conversation about sunblock and sunglasses, I think that we need to have more nuance. This weekend, I had someone comment on my Instagram and they asked me, I have a history of cancer. How much time should I be spending out in the sun with no sunblock? And it occurred to me that I did not want to give this person a recommended dosage because I wanted to look a little bit deeper. So stay tuned to this live stream chat to find out how you can approach sun exposure with a little bit more nuance. Welcome back to the Sarah Kleiner Wellness YouTube channel. Today, I am showing you a live stream that I just did over on Instagram with a friend of mine, Carly Rose. I'll put her information down in the show notes as well in case you want to give her a follow. I wanted to have this conversation around sunblock and sunglasses because since I have been talking a lot more about safe sun exposure and just sun exposure in general, I do get these questions quite often and I can't give a simple answer. So again, in this live stream, I did talk about a little bit more of the nuance around sunblock and sunscreen and, sunglasses, all of these things and how you can actually do this appropriately, how you can actually expose your body safely to sun. Now, before I jump into this live stream, hopefully I know it's not going to be perfect because it's an Instagram live stream. So I did my best with the audio video. I did want to let you know that Carly does talk about a bundle in this live stream. I'm going to link that down in the information section. And we had a little contest on the Instagram live, but I'm having a contest for anyone who buys my bundle. If you do, you're just going to take a screenshot of your order and email it to me at admin@sarahkleinerwellness.com. And you'll be entered to win a contest that includes all of my courses. So except for quantum fertility, it's about a $2,000 value. So if you end up getting this bundle after watching this, just shoot me an email and I will be happy to enter you into that contest. I'll be announcing the winner via email after the bundle sales are done. So I hope this conversation is super helpful for you and enjoy it. Have a great day.
So I'm good. I'm here. Okay.
Cool. I
Awesome.
explained the bundle that it's
Yeah.
in both of our bios and about our resources. And so if you want to continue with like the nuanced conversation.
Yeah. So the my course that's in the bundle, which if you're following Carly, grab it from her bio. If you're following me, grab it from my bio. Um, is harnessing the power of sun. And so I kind of created this course to help people with the nuance around this conversation. I have a ton of free resources and I put out free videos and content all the time. But I am a really obviously like pale person, right? Like naturally, I'm like a Fitzpatrick one. And I think a lot of people, when they hear this conversation about sunscreen and sunglasses, and I have really light eyes, if you can't tell, they're like, like almost kind of a gray blue color. I think a lot of people get upset when you talk about sunblock and sunglasses. They're like, I'm really, like I am going to hurt myself if I go out in the sun without sunblock, without sunglasses. I can't handle it. I can't deal with it. And so that's why I created this course. And again, I have tons of free content around this topic as well, because I think that it needs to be a nuanced conversation for people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I lived in Florida with one of my really good friends and he super has super light skin, really curly blonde hair and light blue eyes. And he would always get sunburn. And he actually kind of switched his diet and then incorporated lighting to help him actually tan for the first time in his life. But there's so many people that just burn so easily. And I know there's so many conversations behind that, whether it's sunglasses or lighting or just skin type or diet. Like it's never necessarily a one size fits all. So I'd love to hear like what your opinion of it is for different types of bodies and people.
Well, I think what's really important when you talk about sunblock, sunglasses, and safe sun exposure is that you have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare your eyes and you have to prepare your skin. I mean, we're meant to be outside under the sun, right? Some of us are from these more northern climates where we didn't have super strong UV. Like my, mitochondrial haplotype is like Nordic pretty much. And so my ancestors didn't really evolve in this area where I live in Georgia. But we are meant to adapt. Humans are very, very adaptable. what's important is that we have a really, really strong circadian rhythm. And I think that's one thing that gets completely left out of the sunblock and sunglasses conversation, is that when you're exposing your eyes and skin to sunrise and to UVA light, your body is getting the correct signaling. Because when we're outside, you want your body to make more melanin, so you have more protection, you have more of the solar callus. But the way that that actually starts is in the morning, and then at night, blocking artificial light at night. So I'll have people say, I have a history of melanoma, I have a history of cancer. I've been getting questions like that lately. How much time should I spend out in the sun without sunblock? And I'm not willing to give a number of time for that person, because I want to, if you have a history of cancer, there is something that we need to look at. There's something in your lifestyle, your diet that played into that. And so I want to make sure those things are still not occurring. Are you still, blasting your body and your eyes with blue light at night? Because if you look at the studies of blue light at night and cancer, I mean, it's astounding. When people are like, show me the science, I'm like, literally go onto Google, type in blue light at night in cancer, or artificial light at night in cancer. You're going to be bombarded with studies. So if someone comes to me that's like, I have a history of cancer, how much time should I go out in the sun with no sunblock on? I'm going to say, I'm not going to give you an answer. I want to know about your full lifestyle. And they might think I'm being like, oh, I don't know. People get pissed off when I say that sort of thing, but it's a nuanced conversation, right? I do think it's healthier to get sun exposure, small amounts, with no sunblock. But if you have a history of cancer, I want to make sure that you've really got that circadian piece dialed in very well, and that you are not exposing your eyes and skin to artificial light after dark.
Yeah. And that's a really great conversation too, because you mentioned the skin, and I've been blocking blue light with my eyes for years, but actually the woman who showed me your profile, Kira Leah Wellness, she was telling me all about how your skin, like you have to really protect your skin too from the blue light. And so from all
Yes.
these sensors in people's houses with the fire alarm little thing on your ceiling flashing blue light at night, or even my fridge or the oven, like they all have blue light. And if I have to get up in the middle of the night to pee and I see blue light, I immediately feel my brain almost light up and like this little ping. So do you want to talk a little bit about the skin aspect of it?
Yeah. So, I mean, just to talk about that, what you just said, if you feel yourself when you're exposing yourself to blue light, that's because blue light actually tells the body to make cortisol, right?
Right.
It's like a switch that turns on. You don't want to be making cortisol at night. You don't want to be making cortisol when you're supposed to be making melatonin, because cortisol opposes melatonin. So you can't make them really at the same time in the amounts that you're going to need to undergo autophagy, apoptosis, these deep repair things that we need. So if someone that does have cancer, I'm going to tell them, I want you getting autophagy. I want you getting apoptosis. That's why it's so important that we're not looking at the blue light at night. We don't have it, and the retina is primary, right? So I know some people have kids, they've got families, they have stubborn husbands, like, hello, welcome to my world. So you can't always get it perfect. That's why I just keep a pair of blue blockers, beside my nightstand at night. But when we're talking about, because I know people are like, where's she going with this? We're talking about how much time you can spend out in the sun without sunblock. We have to talk about this, making enough melatonin at night, getting your body to undergo autophagy and apoptosis at night. Because if you're just exposing your body to sun, it needs time to repair, right? It needs that time to rest, repair, and unwind. So part of when we even get into this conversation about getting out in the sun with no sunblock on is your overall lifestyle. Like your circadian rhythms are so key. But that's, number one is going to be, go out at sunrise, let your eyes see sunrise, and then let your eyes see the UVA light, which is the next window right after that. And that again is going to send the signals to your body to start preconditioning
Yeah.
you to be out in that stronger UV light. Um, the amount of blue light like I said, your body is, being told to make cortisol at sunrise. So it's really important you don't stare at your phone screen before you go out for sunrise, right? Put on the blue blockers, go straight outside, get the proper amount of blue light in your eyes. It's a little bit at sunrise. It gets more and more throughout the day. Blue light's not bad. We just don't want it at night, and we want it in the right amounts. And again, that's going to signal your body to start prepping your skin for that stronger UVB light, right?
Right. Yeah. And first of all, for anyone just popping on, there's so many people coming through. So we're here together talking about blue light and sunblock and sunglasses and some more conversation behind if those things are essential. But we're both a part of the Holistic Health Bundle. So if you are here and you follow Sarah, go to the link in Sarah's bio and grab the Holistic Health Bundle. I have it for people that are here with me, and you get both of our resources, but really Sarah's resource about the circadian health through light is one of the most essential, or I'm sorry, it's a course.
Yep.
It's one of the most essential resources in the bundle. Like, I've posted about it so many times, emailed it so many times out to my subscribers, because everyone really views health through a diet lens. And that is like, since looking into quantum health, that has completely flipped for me. And now diet is literally like this much of the pie. And the way I view health is just so completely different than before I looked into the lighting. And I lived in Hawaii a few years ago, and things start shutting down in Hawaii at 7 p.m. When the sun goes down, people are not really working anymore. Like, they go home, there's no street lights, there's no blue light, there's street lights and billboards. And so naturally, I noticed my body started to go to sleep around 8:30. And then it would wake up with sunrise, because again, you're waking up with the natural light and going to bed with the natural light. And then the only time it would be light outside was around the full moon. And everyone knew when the full moon was, because you were getting that natural lighting from the moon at night. And so I think that there really has to be there's going to be a huge cultural shift when people start to recognize the information that you are putting out there and spreading. Because again, diet is so great and important. It's so important to eat locally. And Kira always tells me that, you know, fruit is like a barcode. And I think you've posted this too. Like, it is a barcode. And essentially, as important food is, like, it really doesn't really matter as much if you're not getting the proper light signaling that's throwing everything completely off.
Yeah.
Like, can they be hand in hand?
Yeah, I mean, every single cell and organ system in your body has a circadian clock in front of it. And so if your circadian rhythms are off, you can eat this amazing diet. But if you're blasted, if you're on your phone, you're watching TV, you're laid up, you know, at night, scrolling on your phone, your best laid plans, you're only going to get so far with your nutritional plan. Now, diet is, I do think it's important to eat locally, to eat seasonally, because food, like you said, your friend says that food has a light code. Exactly. Food is light. Think about how our food is grown. It's under light. And, you know, if you eat animals, those are under the light as well. They contain information about the time of year. They contain information about where you are. And it's another circadian input. So I think that we want to stay away from things like seed oils, right? We want to stay away from the processed foods that are super high in deuterium, which is another kind of interesting circadian topic, which is overall. But you can do that perfect diet, right? And still, if your circadian rhythms are a mess, your body is not getting the correct signals to have your hormones be balanced, for your metabolism to be optimal, for your immune system, for your gut, all of those things. People just kind of brush this aside. And so when we're doing the sunrise, we're doing UVA, and of course, blocking artificial light at night, we're telling our body, hey, it's June or July or August or whatever. I'm in Georgia, so today we're going to have a really high UV index. Let's prep our skin. Let's prep our body for that. Now, does that mean you go out there, say you're just starting this practice? And I talk about this in my Harnessing the Power of the Sun course, which is in that holistic bundle. If you're just starting this, and here it is almost August, I wouldn't go out there for 6 hours. I wouldn't lay out with, you know, and that's the thing that gets lost in this conversation about sun exposure and sunblock, is that people think that we're telling them to go lay out in the sun for hours on end. I start building my solar callus. I start laying out in March, sometimes in February. I'm in Georgia, right? So like if it's a nice beautiful 70-degree day in February, I'm out in my yard getting sun. So I've been kind of building my solar callus year round. So when it comes to this time of year, I can be out in the sun. I don't get burned. I don't have um I don't have skin issues or get burned or any of that stuff, and I don't have to wear tons of sunblock. Now, if I was gonna freaking go to like Costa Rica in the middle of December, then I would have to be really super careful. I'd either go in the shade or cover up. I'm not going to try to expose myself to a different environment at a different time of year with abandon. So, the
Totally.
Dminder app, yeah, the Dminder app is really, really helpful. And I have a link to that and how to use it in that Harnessing the Power of the Sun course. But that's when you can put in your skin type and where you are. The app knows where you are, and it'll tell you turn over, right? Get out of the sun. You've had enough. So I think people need to understand that when it does come to sun exposure, there's so many amazing, great benefits to it, but you still can burn yourself, right? You can still create an issue if you're not building yourself up slowly and you have crappy circadian rhythms and a crappy diet.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And thank you for that. And for those wondering too, if you're just popping on here, we're talking about the resources and Sarah's resource in the bundle. And I forgot to mention the last time I brought this up, for those that grab the bundle, we're going to be reimbursing one of you $50, which the bundle costs $50. It's worth $8,000, but we're going to be reimbursing one of you at the end of this live. So don't want to leave out that important detail. And so when people, I mean, I've noticed when I've posted about sunscreen, it's like a very heated topic and people get really angry, just like they do with tattoos and all these different sorts of things, which I totally understand. And because it's something that's been normal for us our entire lives, and to look a little bit deeper, it can be kind of, just really shocking maybe. And so when we're talking about the ingredients in sunscreen, and so when you like hear people talk about like that they don't get burned with sunscreen, so maybe they're a little apprehensive about what you're talking about with the light signaling. What do you say to enlighten people of why sunscreen is not doing the job for the long haul?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of toxic chemicals in your traditional sunscreens, right? Like a lot of toxic chemicals that you want to be really careful of. Um, and even when you're using like a zinc, I think a zinc oxide, that's something that I would use if I was like out on a boat, in the middle of like a hot summer where there's a lot of light coming off of the water. So I think the conversation needs to be like a little more nuanced, like not no sunscreen, never, it's bad, stay away from it. It's here's something that's a little bit safer if you have no control over going in the shade or covering up if you're like out on a boat or something like that. But you are blocking your body's ability to make more easy water, to make more melanin, which is just has amazing protective benefits for your body. It can detox heavy metals. It can help with brain health, hormone health. There's so many amazing benefits of actually getting sunlight on your skin, right? And if you're putting sunblock on, you're not going to be getting a lot of those. And a lot of the sunblocks can block your body's ability to absorb vitamin D, which is only available for most people in the summertime. We don't get UVB. I do here in Georgia, but most people north of where I live are not getting UVB year round. So everyone thinks you can just get vitamin D by just going out in the sun any day, any time of the year. That's not true. It's only specific times of the day and specific times of the year. So that's why I'm like, if you're going to use sunscreen, don't use it all the time. Use a zinc oxide, use something safe. And I try to avoid it. I haven't used sunscreen in a couple of years personally, but I haven't been somewhere where I can't control getting in shade,
Right.
or putting covering up.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And I know a lot of like quantum health practitioners have also been talking about like makeup, like wearing makeup interfering with light signaling. And so, because I've always been an advocate on my page over the past years of like holistic products for makeup and skincare. And then diving into quantum health kind of had me reevaluate some things because I was like, oh, wait a minute. That actually makes sense if you're creating a barrier, if that is impacting the signaling in your body, which is then impacting, hormone signaling, easy water, all the things that you brought up. So I'm curious, do you kind of stay away from like even natural makeup products as well, or do you kind of just have a balance?
Well, I stay at home most of the time. Like, I don't really go a lot of places. Excuse me. So I just, I might wear a little bit of a natural mascara every now and then, but I'll just use beef tallow on my face. And I don't know. Since I was in my fertility journey, I had my son 9 months ago. And prepping for pregnancy, I just got rid of all the makeup, all the products. Number one, because of this effect with the sun. And I was really trying to heal my mitochondria, make my body as healthy as humanly possible. And then I also, even with the natural makeups, I was like, I don't want to block out any communication with my body, with nature. And I also don't want to expose myself to any chemicals. So I think it's a personal choice, and I think we're so like ingrained that we have to. And I'm 44. So, yeah, I've got some fine lines definitely on my face. I'm aging. I'm not doing like Botox fillers, any of that crap. Like, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? And so I think you have to embrace that to a certain extent and not be someone that needs like 16 layers of foundation to go out of the house and be in front of people. So I think that that's something we have to embrace as well.
Totally. And it's interesting because like in the quantum health space, I've noticed that there's kind of there's so many different types of people with different mindsets when it comes to quantum. For an example, like some people think that if you inject yourself with Botox in a loving, and full disclosure, I don't do Botox and I don't support it necessarily, but there are people that if they say they inject themselves with Botox and they do it in a loving way, it changes the way that actually goes into your mitochondria, into your cells, because you are informing your cells. And this is something I was just like, someone just brought this to my awareness kind of like a few months ago about that mindset. And I had done a post about tattoos, of like heavy metals and tattoos, and a couple artists were saying, well, it actually can be healing if you put it in this way in your mind because the body is listening. So that's getting more into like Joe Dispenza work, I would say, because I'll just say Joe Dispenza because a lot of people know him. But yeah, I find this whole like niche pretty fascinating with all of the different mindsets and just routes that people view it from.
Yeah, I mean, with the Botox, one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, and we're getting to this level with health, right? So I started off nutrition. Like I was a big nutrition person. That's how I grew my page, is talking about food, the importance of animal protein, the importance of bioavailable protein, and how that helped to heal from I healed from a lot of stuff using that approach. However, I had to go deeper to get pregnant. I had to go deeper to balance my hormones. And when you understand kind of this quantum realm, you start to understand the water network within the body. And that's a lot of what the sunlight does. The sunlight strikes your skin, expands the water in your body up to 4 times. And our water, the easy water in our body, is like our body's energy battery. And it's a quantum communication highway. So we have this view of health where we're like extracting blood, we're looking at things under a microscope where all the water has been dehydrated. So it's not really an accurate picture of what's going on inside the body because we're extracting the water out. So when we're injecting Botox and filler and these sorts of things, we are actually disrupting that super communication highway within the body. This can disrupt your fascia, this can disrupt, again, the ability of the body to heal, to change, and communicate. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm 44. Like it's tempting. I have a lot of my friends that are doing all the things. I'm like, oh, she looks all right. It doesn't look like a pumpkin yet. Probably will look like a pumpkin in a couple years if she keeps doing that. But it's just one of those things that I'm like, I know how our bodies work on this cellular level. Like 99% of the cells in our, we're 99% water molecule by volume. So that's really important. It keeps the motion and it keeps the flow going in the body. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, you can say loving intentions, and that actually helps to structure the water in your body. That's where Dispensa, and I love all that stuff. I'm really big into that sort of you know, the quantum realm in that way. Definitely a big believer in it, but also kind of knowing the quantum physics side of how the body works and heals on this cellular level. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm just not going to do that.
Totally. Yeah, I really fall in the middle too, because at the same time, we understand the quantum and starting to understand more and more and exist in that realm and, weave our lives with that, but also not going to go drink like a cup of glyphosate.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, so yeah, I think it's really interesting having those conversations with people. And I love that you brought up the studies done under dehydration because I was listening to Dr. Cruz talk about, studies that are done under blue light and how they're
Right.
inaccurate. And I was actually just at a conference for frequency with this naturopath of 40 plus years talking about how he's not really doing like saliva or blood work at all anymore because it's just not as accurate as we thought. And that blew my mind because I was like, oh, I thought that was kind of the end all be all, like the hair HTMA test and the blood work and the hormone panels, because that's what a lot of functional practitioners do. And I know there's more of like bioenergetic things happening now, but yeah, I think that what shocked me the most about quantum health is how fast it can work. And I think your testimony is so beautiful to this too, of like, we have this perception that, okay, we need to, once we block the sun and we start watching the sunrise and the sunset, or I'm sorry, I didn't mean block the sun. Once we block blue light and watch the sunrise and sunset and do all the things, well, then maybe years down the line we'll be in perfect health. But what I realized is when I started doing those things, I felt a shift within 3 days. And then my body's clock actually started waking up with the sunrise. And Kira told me this would happen because like I'm craving the sun now. Like my body is craving it. And so I'm curious, like when in your course that's in the holistic health bundle, what is the information that's different than the information that you put on here? Like what is exclusive to the bundle for all these people viewing?
Yeah, I mean, really, we're just going to go into detail about how to, again, set your circadian rhythm, understand some of these other things that could be preventing your body from getting enough vitamin D or synthesizing vitamin D, like non-native EMF, diet, things like that. Because again, the conversation around the sun, unfortunately, centers around, um, you know, vitamin D, D, and then you even have some people saying you can take a vitamin D supplement and it's going to replace the sun, um, which is completely false. So in the course, I'm going to talk to you about how to make it naturally, how to do that safely, even if you're like me or you're Fitzpatrick type 1. We'll talk about why sunglasses, what that does, because again, when you think about how, and I explain how this light entering the retina informs your entire body of the time of day, the time of year, informs your hormones, how those hormonal systems actually work in response to light. And then again, how you can maximize your vitamin D production as well as your metabolism using these practices with light, right? And I put out a ton of free information on my page
Yeah.
and I have free guides, but these were just a lot of questions that I was getting. So it's nice and organized, compiled into one place with resource guides and also providing some studies or like, okay, you're going to tell me this, that, and the other, show me the studies. I'm like, okay, cool. Because it's pretty, even though a lot of stuff has been wiped off the internet since 2020, let's just put that out there. You can still find a lot of information on these things about artificial light at night and cancer, about sunlight and cancer, the studies that we know about melanoma and sunlight. A lot of that is incorrect, it's yeah, it's pretty astounding once you kind of start digging in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm really grateful that I think that a lot of people are waking up to this conversation and because of people like you that put out the free content and have reels go viral, and then you have people starting to question things a little bit deeper, and all of a sudden, like their view on health is completely different. And so yeah, I'm really excited for more people to be wearing blue blockers in the airport and just to see it be more mainstream because I think people have like a general understanding of that they go to a concert with all these crazy lights flickering and lights and they leave and feel so drained and sick for the next few days. And yeah, I think there's just more understanding that things in everyday life are, you know, just not what seem to be true, especially the vitamin D conversation and why the sun is bad conversation. And I also was just in Europe for a few months and I noticed how healthy everyone looks there. And even if they're smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol and coffee and they're dehydrated, and I realized that, you know, they're eating their meals outside in the sun. A lot of people are waking up with the sun and maybe going to bed after the sun. I mean, they are just really exposed to sun throughout the day though, and everyone has like a nice glow to them. And of course, there's no glyphosate and things like that. But yeah, I couldn't believe how amazing truly everyone looked and no one was over obese. I think I saw maybe 5 people that were obese the entire time, and I went to 5 countries.
Wow.
So it was I didn't know that existed, and I really haven't left America too much traveling. So it was a really big culture shock for me of how our bodies should be looking in ideal health and what's present around us. So to have information that shows us actually the truth of what we deserve to know and what we deserve to look like is really inspiring. And that's, you know, the people that are in the holistic health bundle, like all these naturopaths and doctors and practitioners coming together to get this information out.
Yeah.
And everyone that's here, we're going to wrap this up in a few minutes, but a couple of you have put your name in the question box in the bottom because we're going to be reimbursing one of you that grabs the holistic health bundle. And if you follow Sarah, go to the link in her bio. And essentially the bundle is 100 plus ebooks and e-courses on how to live a more holistic lifestyle. And it's usually $8,000, but it's only $50 for the next few days. And yeah, Sarah's courses are in there, and there's other quantum health practitioners that have resources in there, and then herbalists and all the things. I'm curious, so you said you're in Georgia. Do you grow a lot of your own food?
No, not really.
Do you have a lot of local markets
I do.
accessible in
No,
Georgia?
I do. I have a farmer that will deliver to my house, which is freaking amazing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great resources around here. I do have blackberry bushes
Nice.
in my backyard that you could go pick the blackberries off and eat them. They're in season right now, but yeah, I mean, I have a 9-month-old and a daughter
Totally.
with special needs, so I just don't have the time to grow my own food, but there are
Absolutely.
a lot of really great resources, and you can go wherever you are in the US. There's a website called eatwild.com, and you can find what's local to your environment. And I think that's just like, you know, I think in Europe there are a lot more, like you said, there's no glyphosate, but I think that a lot more people are more used to eating what's in their local environment, right? What's regional, what's seasonal to them. In the US, everything is just shipped from all over the world, and we don't like. I mean, I never thought twice about eating a banana in the middle of January. It's just like, of course I'm going to eat this, you know, but in Georgia in the middle of January. And so, again, you look at your body, you look at your health through this lens of light and information. I think that you start to look at everything differently. And people are at this point now where they're trying different diets, they're trying different exercise plans, and they're still not getting where they want to be. They're still not having like this amazing, great health. And so I think that's why people are a little bit more like open to this sort of information of like, okay, I feel like I've got the diet stuff, but what about this whole thing about light? Like, how does that actually impact my health, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you brought up the banana example because literally when I heard this information, it just makes sense. Like, why would I eat a banana and I used to be a raw vegan. I think you used to, were you vegan? I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Like I was vegan 8 years, eating 4 bananas in the middle of winter in Chicago. Like, in what world does that make sense? And now that I view health through this lens, I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's really cool to just come back to logic in this way. And a lot of quantum isn't logical because it goes beyond, you know, time and space, and I get that. but also a lot of this information, when you hear it, you just feel super resonant to it. And you're like, okay, yeah, that really makes sense. And of course, my lineage is from Sweden, so I'm thinking, okay, what did my Swedish ancestors eat? Where am I located now? What altitude? The altitude conversation. And so, yeah, I think like just stating that clicks a lot of it in people's heads, because if I lived in Florida and I craved all these amazing tropical foods that were growing right outside my door and I grew myself, like that was great. But I'm no longer in the tropics anymore. So I feel less of a pull to consume it. And like you said, it's like that barcode for your body, for your skin, for everything. And so, yeah, I'm excited for people to dive deeper into the resource. And do you have any last words you would like to say?
No, I think like this whole conversation again about sunblock and sunglasses is what you and I are talking about, of just what we do. We block out the sun, like we stay indoors, we live these like chronic indoor lives, and there's a safety conversation that needs to be had for sure, which is why, I was like, let's talk about this in the just joining. We go back to the beginning, we talked about how to approach sun exposure with a little bit of nuance. And with sunglasses, I don't wear them at all, but again, if I was going to be out on a boat or on snow or something like that, those are the places where I would say, maybe I'll protect my eyes for a little bit, maybe I'll protect my skin for a little bit, but take breaks to see the sun, right? So there's, again, it's important that our bodies, they want to be synced up with nature, they want to be synced up with sun, and it doesn't take months and months and months for you to do this and start to feel really, really amazing results.
Totally. And in the beginning of this live, I brought up like the history of sunglasses, which I'm not going to get into, but it's really fascinating to me. My boyfriend has been, studying things like this for a very long time, and he looked into how sunglasses came to be. So I'm just going to say, for anyone that's interested in that conversation, maybe do some deep diving into that, because I was not aware of how they even started. And yeah, it was a really, really fascinating combo.
I don't know that one either. I just know I don't wear them anymore.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of, conspiracy. So
Yeah. Awesome.
amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, everyone. So there's been quite a few people that have grabbed the bundle while we've been chatting. And so for the last minute, anyone that wants to grab the bundle and enter for this reimbursement, I'm going to announce it in 1 minute. So just go to the link in Sarah's bio if you follow her, or my bio, and grab the bundle and come back. And I guess the last question I'll ask you, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't finish that. And then either comment your name in the comments, or put your name in that bubble with the question mark. But I'm curious, so what resources are you excited about in the bundle?
Yeah, I mean, one of the ones I'm really excited about just sharing and kind of having more people see it is my dear friend Carrie Bennett's mitochondrial workshop, which is like 3 hours long. And if you need to know science about how your body works on this level of the mitochondria, which is really super basic, her course, and she's also participating in the bundle, is amazing. It's a $97 course I mean, the whole bundle is $50. So that's a really, really good deal. Dr. Leland Stillman, who's also a doctor kind of in this quantum space, he has I think it's like a $400 course on the fundamentals of health and light. I think that's a really good one. So I've had a couple of people be like, is this bundle thing, is it a scam? I'm like, no, my intention of participating in the bundle is that I want more people to have access to this information. So maybe somebody that's vegan, even, because I know there's like a couple of vegan resources in there, that isn't following me, doesn't know I'm like kind of like more of a meat-based type of person. I want to teach them about this stuff and teach them about local seasonal foods and why it makes a little bit more sense to, so I just want to, I think a lot of us, I know Carrie included, we just want to get this message out. And so it's a really, really good deal.
Yeah, it's an amazing deal. And I was actually, oh, I'm sorry, there's a lag on your end.
Oh,
Go ahead.
oh no, it's good. I stopped talking.
Okay. I was just gonna say that I've been working with the company, Impact Bundles, for about a year, and I actually just hung out with John and Helena, who are the creators in Spain. They live in Spain. We got together, and they are such sweet people, and they've gone through crazy lives, and they've ended up at this place like, how do we work in a way that's in service and in alignment? And that's what made them put together the bundle. And they do all different types of bundles, like off-grid and holistic parenting and all these things. But essentially, it's making this information so accessible to the masses. And that's kind of like the catch. You know, it's only available for 10 days and we're already halfway through the bundle already. And then it's never available anymore. And it's a win-win-win for everyone. It's a win for the creators, and it's a win for everyone that gets the information that they would not have had accessible to them. And like you said, some of the resources are literally over $400, and you get that resource and 100 other resources for $50, which is nuts. So it's really wild to like know the people behind it and see where their hearts are at, and they're really in service to humanity, which is amazing. So I would love if you could pick a number 1 through 10, and then I will select a winner.
Let's go with 6.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maria Mooney Health is the winner of the reimbursement. So Maria, message me your order number and I will give you that reimbursement. Thank you so much for your time, Sarah. I know you're so busy, but I appreciate you being a part of the bundle and taking time to be here.
Yeah, awesome. And I want to say one more thing. If you guys get the bundle from my page, send me an email to admin@sarahkleinerwellness.com with your screenshot of your receipt, and I'll enter you into a drawing to get a bundle of all my courses. That's like $2,000. So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's epic. Sweet.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, have an amazing day. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.